December 17, 1944, 0530 hours. Honsfeld, Belgium. Picture this. The Tiger tank's engine coughs, sputters, then falls silent. SS Obashto Banura. Joachim Peiper slams his fist against the turret hatch, the metallic clang ringing through the pre-dawn gloom. His driver, Unschar Weber, wrestles with the 700 horsepower Maybach engine. Nothing. The fuel gauge reads empty. Herr Oberonora Weber calls up from below, voice tight with panic. The reserve tank is dry, too. Peiper climbs down, boots crunching on frozen ground. Around him, the Wehrmacht's mightiest armored thrust for Operation Watch on the Rhine, the Ardennes offensive, sits dead. 67 tanks, 149 half-tracks, and nearly 5,000 elite Waffen-SS troops, all crippled by empty tanks. Through the morning mist, Peiper spots the abandoned American position ahead. Honsfeld, a key supply hub for the U.S. 99th Infantry Division. The Americans fled so fast, fires still burn in oil, drums, coffee, steams in metal cups. And there, like a war god's gift, stand rows of jerry cans, thousands of them, olive drab American fuel containers. Peiper approaches slowly, almost in awe. His adjutant, Halpedam Furahans Gruler, cracks open a can, sniffs the high-octane gasoline, and his men scramble to refuel. Peiper counts the haul, 50,000 gallons, enough to fuel his entire combat group to the Meuse River, maybe even turn the offensive. The Americans left more fuel here than most German divisions saw in 6 months. But as Peiper stands amid this windfall, watching his men pour American gas into German tanks, a grim truth settles like the fog. If the Americans can abandon such wealth, if they can toss away what Germany would guard with divisions, this war is lost. Germany didn't just misjudge, it never grasped its enemy's nature. Welcome to World War Chronicles, where one morning's find revealed the industrial chasm that doomed the Third Reich. 6 months earlier, in June 1944, Albert Speer, Hitler's armaments minister, handed the Führer a report that should have halted all offensives. Allied bombs had gutted Germany's synthetic fuel production, the Wehrmacht's lifeline. The Leuna works, pumping 175,000 tons in April, managed just 5,000 by September. Plants at Pitz, Blehammer, and Brewer ran below 10%. The numbers screamed defeat. 1,944 saw the U.S. produce 1.88 billion barrels of crude oil, while Germany, with synthetic plants and Romanian fields, scraped 33 million, less than 2% of America's output. The Reich waged mechanized war with horse-drawn logistics, while America flooded its armies with petroleum. Major Friedrich Simon of the Wehrmacht Logistics Command calculated the Ardennes push to Antwerp needed 4.5 million gallons. Hitler allocated 5 million, but only half arrived due to transport was. The German High Command gambled on seizing enemy supplies, a desperate move, not strength. Meanwhile, America's Pluto pipeline and Red Ball Express delivered 12,500 tons daily, including fuel. By December 1944, U.S. forces in Europe burned 1.2 million gallons daily and received 1.4 million building reserves mid-fight. Joachim Peiper, at 29, a Waffen-SS regimental commander with a Knight's Cross with oak leaves and swords, knew fuel-trumped ammo from the Eastern Front. His combat group was the Schwarpun, the offensive's decisive thrust. On December 14th, 2 days before the attack, General Sepp Dietrich at the final briefing in Tondorf was blunt. "You'll reach the Meuse if you capture American supplies." Peiper's group got 31,000 gallons, enough for 50 miles of combat. The Meuse was 65 miles off. Failure was baked into the plan. Peiper's orders on December 16th were strict. Tanks in single file to save fuel. Engines off for halts over 5 minutes. Capturing enemy depots, priority 1 over tactics. Contrast that with Captain James Rose of the U.S. 743rd Tank Battalion 20 meters away, noting in his diary that morning, received fuel resupply 8,000 gallons. Third delivery this week, storage tanks full. At 0530 on December 16th, the German artillery barrage, burning more ammo in 2 hours than earlier operations, got total, masked, deeper shortages. Peiper's column moved at 7 a.m. Already late. Roads marked as highways on German maps were narrow lanes, many unpaved. Traffic jams hit fast as vehicles built for Russian steppes choked in the Ardennes. At Lanzarote, 18 Americans from a recon platoon stalled Peiper's elite force for nearly 10 hours. Idling burned 40% of his fuel, covering 20 meters to Honsfeld by dawn, December 17th. At this rate, he'd dry up before halfway to the Meuse. Honsfeld wasn't even a main depot, just a Class 3B forward point for the 99th Infantry. Yet its 50,000 gallons topped a German Panzer Division's monthly ration. Gruller later testified, "We found jerry cans stacked 3 meters high, stretching 200 meters. They hadn't bothered to destroy them. The fuel, high-octane aviation gas mixed with motor fuel at 80 octane or better, was too rich for Tiger tanks designed for 74 octane, causing engine trouble." Hoffman, reading English from pre-war import work, found manifests tracing the fuel from Texas to New York, Liverpool, Normandy, then 400 miles by truck in under 6 weeks. He showed Peiper, who palled it and crumpled the papers. Private Ernst Kara found stars and stripes dated December 15th, touting a new Cherbourg-Verdun pipeline pumping 300,000 gallons daily, more than Peiper's whole offensive. Germany's fuel crisis by late 1944 was dire. Since May, Allied bombs cut synthetic output 90%. The Luftwaffe grounded planes, slashed pilot training to 60 hours, and the Navy halted surface ops. U-boat used snorkels to stretch diesel. Civilians saw no private cars since 1942. The Gestapo hunted black market leaders. Farmers reverted to horses. Meanwhile, the U.S. pumped 67% of global oil, with East Texas outproducing occupied Europe. Standard Oil tested new byproducts from surplus crude. With Honsfeld's 50,000 gallons, Peiper pushed to Bullingen by noon, grabbing more rations, ammo, and maps of other depots, revealing fuel everywhere. The U.S. First Army held 3.5 million gallons in reserve. At Laville, his forces committed the Malmedy massacre, killing 84 Americans, citing no fuel to transport prisoners. By evening, he reached Stavelot, eyeing a 2 million gene depot, but Captain John Brewster of the 291st Engineer Combat Battalion ordered its destruction. At 1630, as Peiper's vanguard neared, engineers lit gasoline trails with white phosphorus grenades. The blast soared 100 feet, burning 3 days, wasting fuel to power Peiper's division to Antwerp and back. "On a Fura Weber," recalled Peiper, watching silently, then muttering, "They can burn 2 million to deny us. What are we doing here?" Across the Ardennes, Americans torched depots, 1.1 million at Tuapan, 2.5 million at Spa, 8 million total in the first week, exceeding Germany's offensive allocation. The Red Ball Express had hauled 412,000 tons with 6,000 trucks, burning 40 gallons each daily, more than Army Group B got monthly. By December, 230 truck companies on color-coded routes delivered 20,000 tons daily, including 3,000 tons of fuel. Colonel James Cinder logged December 18th. Fuel received 1,847,000 gallons, issued 1,647,000 gallons, 123. Net gain 224,000. Pluto pumped 1 million gallons daily from Britain, with Cherbourg-Paris lines adding 800,000 and sand lines 650,000. Allies consumed 7.5 million gallons daily, receiving 8.2 million building reserves mid-offensive. Peiper's push on December 18th hit Chenu, capturing 5,000 gallons, but Tigers burned 2.5 gallons per mile, Panthers 1.5, up 40% in Ardennes terrain. Helped Otto Dingler, noted by noon, we'd used 67,000 gallons, captured 55,000, running a deficit. Ultra intercepts tipped off General Courtney Hodges, who ordered all units to destroy threatened stocks. That day, C-47S flew 316 sorties to Bastogne, dropping 160,000 gallons, more than Peiper's total. By December 19th at Stoumont, fuel ran critical. Tanks were ditched, not destroyed. Peiper pulled 8,000 gallons, enough for one fight or retreat, not both. Allies planned January with Brigadier General Maurice Gilland requesting 245 million gallons approved instantly. American Shermans used 0.8 gall per mile versus Tiger's 2.5. Trucks got 8 meters per gallon loaded with interchangeable parts, simplifying maintenance. German forces juggled French, Soviet, and German vehicles with mismatched needs. On December 20th, Peiper got word. Fuel convoy hit by Allied planes. No resupply. Use what you have. Stern Banura Veretka said 20 kilometers of fuel left. Meuse is 30. Grueller quoted Peiper, "We fight an enemy who burns more to deny us than we got for this." Honsfeld's haul meant nothing to them. By December 21st, surrounded at Gleize, Peiper's tanks sat still. The 31st Infantry, 82nd Airborne, and 3rd Armored had 340,000 gallons that day. Peiper had 1,000. Private Richard McKinn wrote home, "Germans surrounded out of gas. Captain jokes, we use more for coffee than their tanks." Patton's Third Army pivoted north with 350,000 gallons in 3 days. A German impossibility. December 23rd's clear skies brought 2,000 Allied sorties, burning fuel the Luftwaffe couldn't dream of. Peiper fled on foot that night, abandoning 39 tanks, 70 half-tracks, and 177 vehicles. Of 5,000 men, 770 returned after 60 meters. Model on December 26th, Reed reports 50,000 at Honsfeld, 2 million burned at Stavelot, 8 million destroyed, and said, "We're not fighting the same war." Hitler denied it. Speer noted his disbelief. Hoffman wrote his wife, "Americans waste more daily than we get monthly. This is lost." America's edge was stark. 1.8 billion barrels versus Germany's 33, 50-1. Post-Ardennes, Allies targeted fuel plants. By February 1945, Germany's production stopped, grounding the Luftwaffe and freezing the Wehrmacht. Surrenders came from immobility, not defeat. General Major Fritz Berlin described 42 tanks with 300 liters, enough for the next town, destroyed before walking to captivity. Third Army's 15,000 vehicles faced traffic jams, not fuel limits. Peiper's insight at Honsfeld showed American abundance dwarfed German need. The offensive burned 2.8 million gallons, 40% of allocation, against America's 267 million, nearly 100 times more. Losses hit 100,000 Germans, 800 tanks, 1,000 aircraft. But the real blow was shattered illusions. Peiper, imprisoned till 1956 and killed in 1976, told historian Henry Lehman in 1967, finding that Dep Depot was the worst. "We might have retreated with honor if we'd run dry sooner. Instead, we saw their oceans against our drops."